Marley was dead to begin with. There's no doubt whatsoever about that.
The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner.
Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was as good as anything he chose to put his hand to.
Marley was dead. Did Scrooge know he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise?
Scrooge and Marley were partners for many years.
Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign,
his sole friend and mourner.
Years passed. Spring, summer, fall, winter. They all came and went.
And yet Scrooge never painted out Marley's name. There it stood years afterward, above the office door, Scrooge and Marley.
The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. He answered to both names. It was all the same to him.
What to say about Ebenezer Scrooge?
Scrooge, Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner.
Hard and sharp as flint, secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster.
The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice.
A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He avoided contact with others as much as possible, edging his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance.
Bob Cratchit was an employee at Scrooge and Marley, trusted and loyal.
Except Scrooge neither trusted anyone nor recognized loyalty.
Poor Bob Cratchit, poor in life,
Rich in love.
the Cratchit household.
You will ask him then.
Yes, but you know how Mr. Scrooge feels about Christmas.
The same way he feels about everything.
Emily.
You've worked for him for 15 years, and in all that time, I don't believe you've ever seen him smile. He's a sad, miserable...
Oh, Emily, please.
It's Christmas. Christmas. We need to be together. How many more of them will there be?
Don't, Emily. I'll ask.
It was the day before Christmas.
Christmas Eve.
Old Scrooge counted his money at his place of business.
His greed keeping him warm.
In the outside office, Bob Cratchit tried to warm himself at the candle. And as he was not a man of strong imagination, he failed.
Scrooge's miserly fervor was shattered by a cheerful voice.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, the son of his only sister.
Merry Christmas.
Bah! Humbug!
Christmas? A humbug, Uncle? Well, you don't mean that.
Merry Christmas! What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You are poor.
And what right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You are rich.
Bah! Humbug!
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in a world of fools? What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer? Every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stick of holly through his heart.
Oh, Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
But you don't keep it, Uncle.
Much good Christmas has ever done you.
I have always thought Christmas a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, and pleasant time, but the only season in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem to open up their shut-up hearts and to think of people below them as fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And though Christmas has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and I say God bless it. Come to dinner with us tomorrow.
Dinner with you? How else shall I waste my time? I'll come to dinner with you when the depths of hell freeze over and the heavens rain down pennies. Good afternoon.
Why, Uncle, why?
Why?
I want nothing from you. Ask nothing of you. Why can we not be friends?
Good afternoon.
Why must we argue, Uncle? I came here today in the spirit of Christmas, and I shall keep my Christmas spirit till the end. So I have but one thing left to say. Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
His nephew left, but within minutes, 2 new visitors arrived.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe.
Have we the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
Our condolences, sir.
What is it you want?
You are his surviving partner, Mr. Scrooge?
I am.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Miss Gibbon, and this is my sister, the other Miss Gibbon.
What is it you want?
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is usually desirable we should make some slight provision for the poor and the destitute who suffer greatly at the present time.
Many thousands are in want of common necessities.
Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Oh, there are many prisons.
And the workhouses, are they still in full operation?
Oh, they are. Although I wish I could say they were not.
Oh, I was afraid from what you said that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course.
They scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude.
A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth.
We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt.
And abundance rejoices.
For what shall we put you down?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous? Oh, he wishes to be anonymous.
I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, that is my answer. I do not make myself merry at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough. Those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there.
Many would rather die than go there.
If they would rather die, they had better get to it and decrease the surplus population.
But
Good afternoon.
Perhaps you could
Good
say,
afternoon.
as a Christian, it is your
Good
duty.
afternoon.
The fog and darkness thickened, so people ran about with flaring lights, offering up to before carriages and conduct themselves on their way. The ancient tower of a church, whose rough old bell always peeped slyly down at Scrooge out of a Gothic window, became invisible and struck the hours and quarters in the clouds as if its teeth were chattering in its frozen head up there. The cold became intense.
As the day grew longer and the light shorter, Cratchit remembered the promise he had made to his wife.
At length, the hour of shutting up the counting house arrived. Bob Cratchit found himself standing in front of Scrooge's desk.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
What is it?
I was wanting to, that is to say, I mean, I would very much appreciate, I mean...
What do you want?
Tomorrow, sir.
Tomorrow?
Yes, Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! I suppose you want off all day.
If it would be convenient,
It
sir.
is not convenient to pay a day's wages for no work.
But, sir, Christmas comes but once a year.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose if you must have the whole day, be here all the earlier next morning.
Yes, I will, sir. Thank you, sir. And Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
Ah, humbug!
Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book,
Went home to bed. As he trudged homeward, he ignored a boy singing a Christmas carol near his front door.
He lived in housing which had once belonged to his deceased partner, a gloomy suite of rooms.
It was old and dreary, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being all let out as offices. The yard was so dark even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was fain to grope with his hands.
Then Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the great door, heard Marley's voice.
Scrooge!
Marley's voice. It was not angry or ferocious, but spoke to Scrooge as Marley used to speak.
With ghostly spectacles turned up on its ghostly forehead.
Nose looking down and eyes wide open.
Ebenezer Scrooge!
He was startled, and his blood was conscious of a terrible sensation to which it had been a stranger since infancy. But he put his hand upon the key, turned it sturdily, walked in, and lit his candle.
He did pause before he shut the door, and looked cautiously behind as if he were half expected to be terrified by the sight of Marley. Quite satisfied no one was there, he closed his door and locked himself in.
Thus secured against surprise, he took off his coat and shoes, put on his slippers, and sat down.
With sudden force, a bell began to ring until every bell in the house was ringing.
This might have lasted half a minute, or a minute, but it seemed an hour.
The bells ceased as they had begun, together.
They were succeeded by a clanking noise deep down below.
As if some person were dragging a heavy chain.
And then came that voice again.
Scrooge!
Who is it?
Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge!
Humbug, it can't be. I won't believe it.
Ebenezer Scrooge!
What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In your life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob?
You don't believe me.
I don't.
You see me, you hear me.
I do, but I do not believe you.
Why would you doubt your own senses then?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are.
I was Jacob Marley.
Humbug.
Oh!
Spirit! What do you want with me? Why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him walk abroad among his fellow men. If that spirit does not go forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world and witness what it cannot share in death, but might have shared in life.
You are chained.
I was wearing the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link. Is this pattern strange to you? Or would you know the weight and length of the strong chain you bear yourself? It is as long as this chain 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a greater chain now.
Jacob, tell me more. Speak comfort to me.
I have none to give. It comes from other regions and is conveyed by other ministers. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger anywhere. No rest, no peace, the never-ending torture of remorse.
You must have covered much ground in 7 years.
Not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly would find its mortal life too short for its vast means of usefulness, that no space of regret can make amends for one's missed opportunity, yet such was I.
But you were always a good man of business.
Business! Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. At this time of year, I suffer the most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men? Hear me, my time is almost gone.
I will, but don't be hard on me, Jacob.
How it is I appear before you in the shape you can see, I may not tell. I have sat invisible beside you many and many a day. I am here tonight to warn you that you have a chance and hope of escaping my fate, Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend to me, Jacob. Thank you.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to avoid the path I tread. Expect the first tonight when the bell tolls 1.
Pray, Jacob, no.
Look to me no more, but for your own sake, remember what has passed between us.
Marley disappeared as the clock tolled 11. Scrooge climbed into bed, and after a very long time, fell asleep.
Was it a dream, or was it not? The ghost of Jacob Marley. Ebenezer Scrooge lay in bed as the clock struck 12. Fear brought sleep. The heavy bell went on from 6 to 7, and from 7 to 8, and regularly up to 12, then stopped. 12.
Expect the first tonight when the bell tolls 1.
On 12, Scrooge awakened. He resolved to lie awake until the hour was past, and considering that he could no more go to sleep than go to heaven, this was perhaps the wisest resolution in his power. The clock struck.
1:15.
Scrooge was frozen in time, yet time went on. The clock struck again.
1:30.
Was it a dream?
1:45.
Expect the first tonight when the bell tolls 1.
The hour itself. Marley! It was a dream! 1 o'clock has struck, and no spirit has visited me. Humbug, Marley! Bah, humbug!
Scrooge heard a door open.
Who is it? Who is there?
Ebenezer Scrooge?
There she stood, a strange figure, but not necessarily a stranger. Her face had the tenderest bloom on the skin. She held a branch of fresh green holly in her hand. She was radiant, a vision of lost dreams, a breath of what might have been.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
I know you. You were in my office this very day. But who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Why have you come, spirit?
Your welfare. Your rescue. Take heed and walk with me.
They walked to the window. The ghost of Christmas past motioned out through the opening.
I am mortal. I will fall.
The ghost placed her hand on Scrooge's heart.
Bear but a touch of my hand there, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
Where are we?
Look with your eyes, and you will see with your heart.
As the words were spoken, they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road with fields on either side. The city had entirely vanished. It was a clear, cold winter day with snow upon the ground. Scrooge looked around in wonder as a smile came over his face.
Good heaven! I was born in this place. I was a boy here.
Your lip is trembling, and what is that upon your cheek? A blush?
No such thing, spirit.
Oh, as you say, you remember the way?
Remember, I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange to have forgotten it for so many years.
I remember it all. The church, the bridge, the winding river.
These are but shadows of things that have been. They have no consciousness of us. Let us walk.
Villages passed. As they did, Scrooge knew and named every one. Why was he rejoiced beyond all bounds to see them? Why did his cold eye glisten and his heart leap up as they went past? Why was he filled with gladness when he heard them wish each other Merry Christmas as they parted at crossroads for their homes? What was Merry Christmas to Scrooge? What good had it ever done to him?
They went in, the ghost and Scrooge, to a door at the back of the school. It opened before them and disclosed a long, bare, melancholy room filled with lines of plain deal forms and desks. At one of these, a lonely boy was reading near a feeble fire. Scrooge sat down, wept to see his poor forgotten self as he used to be.
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
I know this boy.
He has no friends?
None.
But he's a child. Children laugh and run and play.
Not this one, Spirit.
Why?
I wish, but it's too late now.
What is the matter?
Nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should have given him something, that's all.
Here she comes.
Scrooge and the ghost watched as a young girl entered the room, crossed to the young boy, and embraced him.
Dear brother!
Fan!
Oh, dear brother, my sweet Ebenezer, how I've missed you. Every night my heart ached for you, but no more, dear brother, for I have come to bring you home.
Home?
Yes, to bring you home. Home for good and all. Home forever and ever.
But Father...
Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home is like heaven. He spoke so gently to me one night when I was going to bed that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. He said yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you.
I'm going home for Christmas?
We're to be together all Christmas long and have the merriest time in the world.
Hand in hand, the two siblings left the room while Scrooge and the ghost looked on.
Always a delicate creature whom a breath might have withered.
Yes.
She died a woman and had, I believe, children?
One child, a boy.
Your nephew.
Yes.
We must go now.
Where?
To another Christmas past.
They left the school behind them for a busy thoroughfare of the city. Here, too, it was Christmas time. The ghost went in a warehouse door. There they saw an old gentleman in a Welsh wig sitting behind a high desk. With the ghost by his side, Scrooge watched as his 22-year-old self, accompanied by his fellow apprentice, Dick Wilkins, were greeted by Mr. Fezziwig.
Ebenezer. Dick.
Fezziwig! Why, it's old Fezziwig, bless his heart. Oh, Dick Wilkins, to be sure. That's me, yes, there he is. He was much attached to me. Poor Dick, whatever became of him?
My boys, what day is it, Dick?
Oh, Christmas Eve, Mr. Fezziwig.
Christmas Eve? That would make tomorrow.
Oh, Christmas Day, sir.
Christmas Day. No more work tonight. Christmas Eve. Dick. Christmas Eve, Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up. Clear away, my lads, and let's have lots of room here. Clear away.
It was done in a minute. The warehouse turned into a snug, bright ballroom. In came a fiddler with his music book. In came Mrs. Fezziwig with her 3 daughters. In came their 6 young followers whose hearts they broke. In they all came, some shyly, some boldly, some gracefully, some awkwardly, some pushing, some pulling. Away they all went, 20 couples, at once, up the middle and down again, round and round in various stages of affectionate grouping, as old Fezziwig cried out,
Well done.
When the clock struck 11, the ball broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took their stations on either side of the door, shook hands with every person individually as he or she went out, and wished each a Merry Christmas. Scrooge and the ghost looked on as the guests left.
What a small matter to make them so happy.
Small?
Listen.
Top party, Mr. Fezziwig.
It's Christmas Eve, Dick.
So it is. Merry Christmas.
Good evening, Ebenezer.
The best, Mr. Fezziwig, the best.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Ha ha! Old Fezziwig. He had the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. His power lay in words, and looks, the happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What is the matter?
Nothing.
Something, I think.
No, nothing. I should have liked to say a word or two to my clerk just now.
My time grows short. Quick!
It produced an immediate effect. Again, Scrooge saw himself. He was older now, a man in the prime of life. He was not alone, but sat by the side of a fair young woman, in whose eyes there were tears.
It matters little to you. Another, very little, another idol has displaced me. And if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to be unhappy.
What idol has displaced you, Mary?
A golden one.
Money? It is the way of the world. There is nothing on it which is as hard as poverty. There's nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth. We must have money to survive.
You fear the world too much. All your other hopes have merged into this great hope of being beyond the chance of its sordid reproach. I have sat by as your nobler aspirations fell off, one by one, and greed has consumed you.
What then? Even if I'm, as you say, I'm not changed toward you.
You are.
Am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until we could improve our worldly fortune by patient industry. You are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boy.
The promise we made when we were one in heart is fraught with misery now that we are two. How often I have thought about this. I will not say it's enough that I have thought of it. It is enough that I can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words, never.
In what then? In what?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in another atmosphere of life, in everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If what we have shared had never been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now?
Does my answer matter? You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could. But if you were free today, tomorrow, yesterday, can even I believe you would choose a penniless girl? You who weigh everything by gain. If for a moment you were false enough to your one guiding principle to do so, do I not know regret would surely follow? I release you with a full heart for the love of him you once were.
None of this matters. Your station is not important to me.
May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
Scrooge and the ghost watched as Mary got up and walked away.
Show me no more, Spirit. Why do you delight in my torture?
One shudder more.
No more! No more! I do not wish to see it.
They were in another scene and place, a room not very large or handsome, but full of comfort. Near the fire sat Mary, his love, now a comely matron. A man entered the room carrying a sack of colorful Christmas presents. The man was Dick Wilkes.
No, Spirit. Show me no more.
There is still much to be learned. Listen.
Dickens.
That is what became of him, the husband of your one love.
I saw an old friend of ours this afternoon.
Who?
Oh, guess.
I can't guess. I don't know.
Ebenezer Scrooge. I passed his office window, and as it was not shut up, I could scarcely help but see him. I hear his partner is near death, and there he sat, alone, all alone, on Christmas Eve.
Poor man.
All alone.
Spirit, remove me from this place. Leave me, take me back. Haunt me no longer. Show me no more.
He was conscious of being exhausted and overcome by an irresistible drowsiness. He had barely reeled into bed before he sank into a heavy sleep. The clock told 1/4 past, 1/2 past, 1/4 to the hour, and then it happened, 2 o'clock.
There was no doubt it was his room, but it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceilings were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove from every part of which brightly gleaming berries glistened. The crisp leaves of holly, mistletoe, and ivy reflected back the light.
Heaped up on the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, luscious pears, and seething bowls of punch.
In easy state upon there was a jolly person, glorious to see. Awake, awake and know me better, man.
Oh, what is it you want?
I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me.
I recall your face. You asked for my help with the poor on this very day.
Did I? You have never seen the like of me before. There are some upon this earth of yours who lay claim to know us, and who do their deeds of passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name, who are as strange to us and all our kith and kin as if they had never lived. Remember that and charge their doings on themselves, not us.
Spirit, take me where you will. I went forth this very night on compulsion, and I learned a lesson which is working. Now, if you have reason to teach me, let me profit by it.
Holly, mistletoe, red berries, ivy, turkeys, geese, game, poultry, sausages, pies, puddings, fruit, and punch all vanished instantly. So did the room.
Where are we going, Spirit?
Open your eyes and see.
Scrooge opened his eyes to find he was in the home of Bob and Emily Cratchit. The room contained a rocking chair, a small stool, and a table surrounded by chairs. Emily was mending a worn-out dress.
What has got Bob so late? And Tiny Tim? I'll be better once they're home.
In came Bob, his threadbare clothes darned up and brushed to look seasonable.
I left Tim with Martha in the other room.
Why are we here, Spirit?
Listen, mortal. Listen with your heart.
Humbug.
Listen.
Emily turned to her husband.
How was Tiny Tim?
As good as gold and better. Oh, Tim gets so thoughtful sitting by himself and thinking the strangest things you've ever heard. He told me coming home he hoped the people in church saw that he was a cripple because it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made beggars walk and blind men see. He is getting stronger every day, I tell myself.
He is. He is.
They moved toward the table.
Our Christmas feast! What a goose! Oh, I don't believe there was ever such a goose cooked.
You said that last year.
And I'll say it next year and the year after that. Every year as it's true. Now, let us give proper thanks for this feast.
Thanks? Why do they give thanks for this? A withered bird not fit to feed a child, and a ration of potatoes? What sort of feast is that?
What more do they need?
Mincemeat and greens and a 20-pound turkey with all the trimmings.
A Merry Christmas to us all, and as Tiny Tim always says, God bless us, everyone.
Tell me, Spirit, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat in the chimney corner and a crutch without owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No, kind Spirit. Say he will be saved.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. What then? If he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population.
No.
If man you be in heart, forbear that wicked pretense until you have discovered what and where the surplus is. Will you decide what men shall live and what men shall die? It may be that in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child.
Mr. Scrooge, I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have good appetite for it.
Emily, it's Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and happy, I'm sure, I've no doubt.
Merry Christmas to all, and God bless us everyone.
Scrooge and the spirit moved from the Cratchits to a bright, dry, gleaming room. Scrooge recognized his nephew and wife, who were entertaining guests.
And he said Christmas was a humbug, I swear.
I have no doubt of it, husband.
And he believed it, too.
More shame for him.
He's a comical old fellow, that's the truth.
Comical? Miserly, more like it. Why, if you were to add up the income of the 5 richest men in the whole of our great city, his wealth would exceed their combined fortunes times 100. He has more than he could ever possibly need, and yet he lives as if he had nothing.
Wife.
His wealth is of no use to him. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking he is ever going to benefit us with it. And what of charity? Oh, he has none. Ignorance, that's his charity.
His offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
I have much to say. He lives in housing that is most unpleasant. Fallen down around him, a series of rooms belonging to his deceased business partner, Mr. Marley, I believe.
And what of that, my dear?
Yes, I have much to say to your Uncle Scrooge. Why, were he here right now, I know not what I might say, except to say it would be plenty.
No doubt.
I have no patience for him.
Oh, I have patience for him. I feel sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried.
Try harder.
Who suffers by his ill whims? Well, himself, always. Here he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us. Well, what's the consequence? He loses a dinner.
I think he loses a very good dinner.
All the same, the consequence of his taking a dislike to us and not making merry with us is he loses some pleasant moments which could do him no harm. I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not. I pity him. Well, he may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it if he finds me going in there in good temper year after year and saying, Uncle Scrooge, how are you?
Our time grows short.
A half hour more. Just 1 half hour.
Humbug.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, wherever he is. Oh, he wouldn't take it from me, but he may have it nevertheless.
Oh, thank you, nephew. Thank you.
We must go forward.
Our spirit's lives so short.
My life upon this place is very short. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight, the time grows near.
The Christmas holidays condensed into a space of time they passed together. It was strange, too, that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
Spirit, where are we now?
The ghost did not answer.
Spirit, forgive me, but I see something strange peeking from behind your robe.
Look closer.
And from behind the ghost robe stepped a young boy and a young girl, dressed only in dirty undergarments. Their matted hair and skin were streaked with dirt.
These 2 children are wretched and miserable. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tint, a stale and shriveled hand has pinched and twisted them. No perversion of humanity has monsters half so horrible.
Spirit, are they yours?
No, they are man's. The boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware them both, but beware the boy more, for on his brow I see doom written, unless the writing is erased.
Have they no refuge, no resources?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
To ashamed reply, Scrooge watched as the ghost of Christmas present and the two young children faded into the mist. He found himself back in his room.
Spirit, where are you going? Spirit, why do you leave me? Don't leave me! Don't leave me!
The bell struck 3. Scrooge looked about him for the ghost and saw nothing. As the last stroke ceased to vibrate, he remembered the prediction of Jacob Marley, and lifting his eyes, beheld a solemn hooded phantom coming like a mist along the ground towards him.
I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You are about to show me shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, Spirit?
The ghost bowed his head to indicate yes. It was shrouded in a deep black garment which concealed its form and left nothing of it visible save one outstretched hand. Its mysterious presence filled him with dread. The spirit neither spoke nor moved. Scrooge stood on trembling legs.
Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any spirit I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear your company and do it with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me?
The phantom moved away. Scrooge followed in the shadow of its dress, which bore him up and carried him along.
The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me, I know. Lead on, Spirit.
The city seemed to spring up about them. The spirit stopped beside 2 women. One, a charwoman, was dressed in worn, dirty clothes. The other, a laundress, was clothed much like her companion.
I don't know how much about it either way. I only know he is dead.
When did he die?
Last night.
Why? What was the matter with him?
God knows. Oh, I thought he'd never die. What was done with his money?
I haven't heard. Left it to his company, perhaps.
He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know. Oh, it will be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life, I don't know of anybody who would go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going, if lunch is provided. A free lunch is a free lunch. I must be fed if I make a trip.
The women laughed loudly as they strolled away and mixed with the other people in the street.
Spirit, why are we watching this trivial scene? I'm certain it has some purpose, but how does it relate to me? The past and the present were mirrors, familiar spirits. What is the future, Spirit? Spirit?
The ghost walked forward. They left the busy scene and went into an obscure part of the town where Scrooge had never been. The whole quarter reeked of crime, filth, and misery. They stopped in front of a dirty, tattered man.
Spirit, we must leave this place. The housing is so poor, so wretched. The people are drunken and undesirable. Spirit, I beg you, smell the misery, the despair, the death.
The ghost motioned for Scrooge to watch as the 2 women he had just overheard entered. Both the charwoman and the laundress carried bags which they placed before the old man.
Let the charwoman alone be the first and the laundress be second.
You couldn't have met in a better place. We're all suitable for our calling, well matched.
What odds then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true indeed. No man more so.
Why then, don't stand staring as if you was afraid, woman. We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
No, indeed. I should hope not.
Very well, then. Who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
Not a dead man indeed.
Oh, if he wanted to keep them after he was dead, the wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying, gasping out his last there, alone by himself.
The truest word ever was spoke.
Oh, I wish it was a little heavier judgment, and it would have been if I could have laid my hands on anything else. See that bundle, Joe, and let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be first, nor afraid for them to see it. We knew pretty well we were helping ourselves before we met here. It's It's no sin.
What do you call this? Bed curtains?
Aye, bed curtains.
You don't mean to say you took them down, rings and all, with him lying there?
Oh, yes, I did. And why not?
You were born to make your fortune, and you will certainly do it.
I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything in it by reaching it out for the sake of such a man as he was. I promise you. Don't drop oil upon the blankets now.
His blankets?
Who else do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without them, I dare say. You may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it. It's the best he had. They'd have wasted it if I hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Well, putting it on him to be buried in. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. Oh, he can't look uglier than he did in that one.
Your reward will be a handsome one.
The old man produced a large sack of money and paid the charwoman for her goods.
This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he is dead.
All three began to laugh as Mrs. Dilber, the laundress, stepped up with her bag to take her turn. Silently, the ghost and Scrooge walked away.
Spirits, I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way. Merciful heaven, what is this? If there's any person in this town who feels emotion caused by this man's death, show that person to me, spirits, I beseech you.
The ghost pointed ahead. The small parlor of the Cratchit house came into view. Emily was sewing. The room was sparsely decorated for Christmas. The stool sat empty with a crutch next to it. Emily put down her sewing.
The color hurts my eyes. They're made weak by the candlelight, but I wouldn't show weak eyes to Bob when he comes home. Must be near his time. Past it, rather. But I think he walks a little slower than he used to these last few evenings. I have known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder very fast indeed. But he was very light to carry, and his father loved him so it was no trouble.
Bob Cratchit entered the room.
Sunday, you went then?
Yes, my dear. I wish you could have gone. It would have done you so good to see how green a place it is. Oh, but you'll see it often. I promised him I'd walk there on a Sunday. My little child.
I know.
I saw Mr. Scrooge's nephew as I walked home. He is the kindest gentleman. He said he was sorry, heartily sorry for me and my good wife. If I could be of service to you in any way, he said, giving me his card. Well, this is where I live. Pray come to me. Now, it wasn't for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us so much as for his kind ways that this was quite delightful.
I'm sure he's a good soul.
You would be sure of it, my dear, if you saw and spoke to him. It really seemed as if he had known our Tiny Tim and felt our sadness with us.
My Tim, my little boy.
I'm sure that none of us will forget poor Tiny Tim, and I know, my dear, when we recollect how patient and mild he was, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves.
Spirit, the empty seat. Is it for Tiny Tim?
The ghost nodded his head. The scene at the Cratchit household faded as the ghost walked onward.
He is gone. Poor Tim. Thy childish essence was from God. Spirit, where do you go now? Answer me. Who is this man who has passed on? The man no one mourns.
The ghost conveyed him as before.
I know this place. This is the way to my house and my occupation. Oh, Spirit, let us stop and see what I shall be in days to come.
The spirit stopped. The hand was pointed elsewhere.
No, Spirit. My life is this way. Why do you point over there?
The phantom pointed as before. Scrooge joined it once again and accompanied it until they reached an iron gate. He paused to look around before entering.
A churchyard? The wretched man lies underneath the ground. It is a worthy place, a worthy place.
Walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds.
The growth of vegetation's death, not life, choked up with too much burying, fat with replete appetite.
A worthy place.
The spirit stood among the graves and pointed down to one.
Spirit, no, I beg you, have mercy.
The ghost continued to point at the tombstone.
Spirit, before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or the shadows of things that only may be?
Silently, the ghost continued to point at the tombstone.
Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends, to which, if persevered, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it is thus with what you show me.
The ghost continued to point.
Answer me, spirit. Answer my question. Why do you say nothing? Speak nothing. You hide within the shadows. Answer me.
The ghost moved to the tombstone and wiped away the cobwebs and debris that covered the name of the dead man. The tombstone read, Ebenezer Scrooge.
No, spirit. Oh, no, no. The man they speak of. The man no one mourns. I am that man. Spirit, hear me. I am not that man that I was. I will not be that man I must have been but for this intercourse. Why show me this if I am past all hope?
Scrooge began to cry. The hand of the ghost shook as it faded into the mist.
Good spirit, your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Assure me I may yet change these shadows you've shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons they teach. Tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone.
Scrooge repeated his pledge.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Jacob Marley, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this.
Scrooge discovered he was in his own room.
I am here. The shadows of things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody. A Happy New Year to the entire world. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits.
Running to the window, Scrooge opened it and put out his head. Clear, bright, jovial, stirring cold. Golden sunlight, heavenly sky, sweet, fresh air, merry bells. Oh, glorious! He called down to a poorly dressed maid carrying her market basket, hurrying past his front door.
Madam, what day is today?
Today, Governor?
Yes, today. What day is it?
Why, today is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! It's Christmas Day! I haven't missed it! The spirits have done it all in one night! Of course they did. They can do anything they like. Madam, do you know the butcher's in the next street on the corner?
Aye, Gov.
Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey hanging in there, the big one?
Oh, it's hanging there now.
It is. Excellent. Will you please go and buy it for me?
Governor?
I am in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to take it to Bob Cratchit's. He shan't know who sends it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. I'll give you a shilling. No, half a crown.
Aye, Gov.
He dressed himself in his best and went out into the streets. The people were by this time pouring forth. Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He looked so irresistibly pleasant that 3 or 4 fellows said, "Good morning, sir. A Merry Christmas to you."
He had not gone far when, coming towards him, he beheld his sisters, who had walked into his counting house the day before, believed them to be the spirits who led them.
Merry Christmas, my good people.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
It's you. Oh, spirits, I thought I'd never see you again. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Why are you thanking us, Mr. Scrooge?
Why am I thanking you? Why, for what you have shown me, for saving me.
Saving you, sir?
Yes, saving. Oh, I see. I understand. Your work is secret. We shan't speak of it. Very well.
Our work? Why, Mr. Scrooge, have you changed your mind? Have you decided to help the less fortunate of the world?
Yes, Spirit, I have changed my mind. Whatever you want, whatever you may desire, it is yours.
Did you hear that, sister?
Thank you.
Not a word, Spirit. Don't say anything. It is I who should thank you for all your good work and charity. Will you come to see me?
We will, Mr. Scrooge.
I thank you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you. Bless you.
He went to church, walked about the streets, watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted children on the head. He never dreamed any walk could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps toward his nephew's house.
Nephew,
Uncle Scrooge? Why, bless my soul.
Uncle Scrooge? The Uncle Scrooge?
We have much to discuss, nephew.
Oh, Uncle, not business.
Yes, nephew. We have much business to discuss.
But it is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
I am well aware of what day it is.
Oh, Uncle, not today. Today I have but one thing to say to
And
you.
I have but one thing to say to you, nephew.
No, Uncle, not bah humbug.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, nephew!
Merry Christmas?
You say it like a question, nephew. You must say it with your heart. You must honor Christmas and keep it all the year. Merry Christmas! And to your lovely wife, Merry Christmas.
Scrooge stayed for dinner. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful happiness.
The next morning, he was early at the office. He wanted to be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming in late. And he did it. The clock struck 9, no Bob. 1:15, no Bob. He was a full 18 minutes behind his time.
Hello? What do you mean coming here this time of day? I have a business to run. I can't tolerate this sort of thing.
I am very sorry, sir. I am behind my time. It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer. Therefore, I'm about to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge?
Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, my good fellow, than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your family. We'll discuss your affairs this afternoon over a Christmas mug of ale. Make up the fires and buy a second coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew.
He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. It was always said of him he knew how to keep Christmas well. May that be truly said of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.